That was beautiful. There's something about when music preaches a message perfectly with music, I kind of feel like I should just say it's a coffee break and we're going off. It's done. We did it. We've been exploring this idea of what would life look like after a year in the spiritual gym. Spiritual gym being this thing, whatever this is, whether you're here, whether you're watching me, whether you hear me 10 years from now on a podcast. What does life look like after a year? That's what I want to explore today. We've been doing it through our founding story. It's this idea, this metaphor, this guiding story that says this. There's a man who found a well on his land, and the well, and this is the most important part because we get stuck on the well. The well is beautiful, and we're going to talk about the well, but I want you to see what the well does. Because when the well was there, the man said, "Everyone is welcome." Everyone. I don't care your gender, I don't care your race, I don't care your sexual orientation, I don't care your sexual expression, I don't care about your religion. I don't care about anything. You are welcome. And the land outside the well was green and life. A place called earth, heaven on a place called earth. You looked around and people were taken care of and stupid poverty wasn't there and people didn't walk 30,000 steps a day when they're experiencing homelessness with bad socks. The world was the way it should be. Now the landowner got called away from work, took off, and he left some people in charge. And people being people, like me, maybe like you, but people, we start getting focused on the I. Can you throw up that model for me, Amber? Whereas the landowner said, no, this was to make the world green. This was to make heaven on earth. This was to bless everybody. The people who got in charge were like, wait a second, what about us? See this line on this side here? Friend Church is inspiring us to go up the model. The story starts with people going down the model into that corner. What about me? I don't care what's going on outside there. What about me? What if we run out of water? What do I get out of this thing? 2 weeks ago, Jeff talked about the I-centricness. And so they did what we do when we go down the model. They built a wall around it. Only the people who believe right, who behave right, I don't know, whatever other right you can come up with, we get the water. And pay attention to what happened outside the walls. When the landowner was there, it was green, life, beautiful, heaven on earth. And after the walls, it started to dry out. Death. A desert as far as you can see. You know those socks that people were getting so they could walk 30,000 steps on a day? Nope. The money that was raised for MS to help MS research wasn't raised. Neighbors boosting cars of neighbors so they can volunteer at a non-for-profit. Jeff talked about that story a couple weeks ago. Nope. The world going down. Hell on earth. Today I want to explore hell on earth. Can you throw up that the Menti for me, Amber? This is going to be a participation sport. You could bring out your phones. It's not often I tell you to bring out your phones, but bring out your phones. There's a website on the top, menti.com. There's a phone or a number. Type in that number. For those of you who need glasses, I can tell because you're all doing this. Here's the thing. When we look at this idea of a world where there's a wall around the well and the thing that creates life, there's an oasis inside. Everyone's happy. Everyone's taking care of each other. But outside the walls is death. I want to see what that looks like through your eyes. What things do you see when you look out into the world and you go, that shouldn't be that way? Just type it in. They're going to start showing up. One of the things that drives me completely bananas is when people are broken down on the side of the road and nobody stops. One lady said she was on the Queenie 2 for 2.5 hours. 0 people stopped. No one cared. How many cars pass you on the Queenie 2 in 2.5 hours? Like 10,000 or something? It shouldn't be that way. When I hear about people, yeah, perfect. Hunger, war, addictions. Yeah, racism. Starvation. Lack of empathy. Basic needs not met. Kids sleeping on the road. That story of the woman who was like, I was cleaning up the park and I used to live just on the edge of the river. I was homeless. Had no place to be. That's just not right. When I look at that, I think that this world shouldn't be this way. Injustice, ignorance, hate of strangers, domestic violence, yeah. A while ago, we helped a woman escape domestic violence, and I was just thinking, how is it that this still exists? How is it that people are locked into a situation like that and they can't get out? When you look at the walls and you look at the desert outside the walls, this is what's there. The world shouldn't be this way. We're going to come back to this. The story goes that after the wall was put up and the world started to turn bleak, death everywhere, the landowner found out about it. And I like to think, because again, we made up the story, so we can do whatever we want, but the landowner saw the death all around. They saw this. And they said, this was not how I wanted the well to be used. The well was to bring life to everyone. Not this. You can take it down now, Amber. So the son comes walking through a land he doesn't even recognize. It's just, when he left, it was green and beautiful and there's life everywhere. People were cared for. People were volunteering for causes, take care of their neighbors. All the things that we do. None of that was going on. It's all about me. And he kicks the door of the walls like, what is going on? They're like, who are you? Who are you? Are you welcome here? Do you fit our criteria? He's like, my dad owns this bloody well. Let me in the door. And he goes in and he sees the well and he goes, this was not what my father intended. And he takes a bucket of water, puts it out, walks out of the walls and starts giving it to people. A little moment of life. In the story, it's a metaphor. He takes water, but he starts raising money for cancer research. He drops off a parking gift card for somebody who has to be at the hospital a lot. He collects socks for people who walk without socks. He sees a car rolled over on the side of the road and he helps the people out and the dog. True story. He sees some girls at a school in Africa living on 2 scoops of porridge a day and says, no. and the world starts to change. Life starts to flow out again. Pretty soon people look at it like, wait, this is beautiful. This is the world as it was meant to be. And they start grabbing buckets too, and they're like, okay, how do I do this? Who do I, pretty soon they kick down the wall, and they're like, hey, anyone who can walk, come on in. The water is for everyone. And slowly, the landscape turned green. And there was life as far as you could see. Stupid poverty gone. Wars over. The world as it should be. Of course, because humans are humans. Can you throw up the model for me again? They were like, wait a second. If you're taking all this water out of here, what about us, right? Back down the model. And can we feel that? Nowadays, I have the words to say it when my brain's going, no, but what about me? What about me? And they had the son killed. Oh, this water's not for everybody. This water is for us and us alone. We tell that story to say we will not be a community that builds walls around the well. We will be a community that takes water to the world. We even went one step further, and I encouraged you, I invited you. You don't need to say it out loud, but in your mind, if this fits for you, say, I will not be a person who builds walls around the well. I will be a person who takes water to my world. I will be someone who makes the world around me green. Brings life. After you're in the spiritual gym, we are going to do everything we can to inspire you to that end. To create life all around. Now it's nice that I just say in this story, the son grabs a bucket of water and carries it outside and takes water. We will be a community that takes water. What exactly does water mean, Vincent? I want to show a couple things. Remember we talked last week? When you put a wall around the well, oftentimes you can't even see out. That was the story of my buddy. I think he moved to town in grade 6. I said to him, hey, where did you live before grade 6? He's like, I was born in this town, dummy. I just joined your church in grade 6. You see, before that, he was outside of my wall, and I didn't even know he existed. Brutal. The first thing the son does is it's like he opens the gate and looks out and goes, whoa, I can actually see the people all around. I see them. I don't just live in my little world where we're all taking care of each other. No. I see the person who just got diagnosed with cancer. Whoa. I see the people who are on the side of the road. I see the people who are struggling. You can see them. You say hello to them, and their eye you can tell they're like, they are not well. You start to see them. Now, for some of us, if you grew up in a wall, so just let me say, for all of you who didn't grow up inside the walls of a community, you guys are so freaking lucky sometimes. Because most of us have to deconstruct all this crap. We have to deconstruct, the afterlife. We have to deconstruct our conception of God. We have to do all this work just to look out the gate. You guys are just like walking out like it's no big deal. We're like, don't you have to just do a whole bunch of work? What do you need to do in your spirituality? Whatever that is, whatever grew up with, whatever you've connected to, what do you have to do to be able to open the doors and see out? That's deconstructing. Not because we had it all wrong, no, but because it kept the water from the world. Remember Jeff's story a couple weeks ago? I told it last week. Buddy of his, I talked to him this week. It's less buddy and an acquaintance. Let's say an acquaintance of his. I'll get the story right. Him and a bunch of people raised a ton of money, put a ton of effort into smuggling Bibles into Russia when it was still very closed. All this time, all this money, all this effort. They risked going to jail in like Russian prisons. Like, this is not immaterial. This is not like a lark. Hey, we should smuggle Bibles in. It's like literally life-threatening. And they show up in the town with these unmarked trucks full of Bibles. No one knows what's going on. They drive in. People are like running alongside. Kids are like, I have no clue what's in there, but it's going to be amazing. And they rip open the boxes and they start handing out Bibles. Please, please don't judge them poorly. In their walled existence, this was the greatest gift they could give. Can you see that? It was only when one of the mothers started yelling at them in Russian. And one of the guys was like, what are they saying? And so they get a translator and she says, my children cannot eat your Bibles. Can you imagine the gut punch that was? What was the problem? Yell it out for me. Sorry? The walls. They didn't even see the people were hungry. Can you see that? The son, that's the ninja move. The son looks out and goes, oh wait, you don't need a Bible. You need food. Or maybe, the son comes out to a different community and says, you don't need food, you guys are fine, you need Bibles. The guy just had the wrong community. The core skill of a water taker is somebody who sees the world. Doesn't get caught up inside the walls, doesn't get caught up inside the, okay, but are they doing this right? Are they wearing the right clothes? Whoa, that shirt's a little too short on that guy. Well, I can't talk to him. That person's expressing themselves this way. Well, I can't see that person. Their sexual orientation isn't right. The way they create coupledom isn't right. The son goes, I see you. And then the son does something so key. Has anyone ever heard the term gospel? If you grew up in the church, you've probably heard the term. Just throw up your hands so see. Gospel, right? If in traditional word it means I'm not lying, I'm telling you the gospel truth, right? But in the Bible, it has this idea of gospel meaning, maybe let's say it this way. The gospel is like the walls of our community. If you believe this gospel, you're in. If you don't believe, we'll either try and get you to believe, or you're out. We don't see you anymore. Again, for those of you who weren't raised in the church, so lucky. So in my schooling, I took a class in Greek, which means the New Testament is written in Greek. The Greek word for what we call gospel is this word euangelion. So because I'm the geek that I am, I spent 2 weeks studying this in every iteration, in every language, in every part of culture. And here's what I found. Euangelion probably doesn't mean the walls of the community. It means good news. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a soccer fan. and you're at the office one day, working away, and you don't have time to check the stats, but your team, the team that you're currently wearing the jersey for, who's playing in the World Cup finals, wins. But you don't know what's going on because you're like working away like a good little human robot. And your friend comes in and says, your team just won the World Cup. That is good news. That is gospel. It's a little awkward when I say it that way. Let's say it this way. That's euangelion. Good news. Now here's the thing. Here's what the sun does that's so beautiful. The sun doesn't see the walls, looks through the walls, goes out and sees somebody and is like, okay, I see you. You just broke your leg, compound fracture, you're in the hospital. You can't walk, can't do a whole lot of anything. What is euangelion for you? What would be good news? We're going to crowdsource this sucker. Say out loud. If you knew someone, and someone from our community, compound fracture, got hit by a car a couple months ago in the hospital, what is good news for that person? Say it once more. I'm going to look after your kids. Love it. What else? I'm going to be company. I'm going to come visit you, hang out. That was my go-to. Thank you. Food. Who said food? Good food. Not McDonald's? I got the company. I missed the... What else? It's expensive being in there. Healthcare. God bless healthcare. What is good news for that human being? Sometimes what I try and do is I try and find somebody who's been through what they've been through and see if I can connect them. Somebody who's got a rod in their leg, just like this person's just got a rod in their leg and his leg's this big and, like rods and plates. Hey, that person had the same thing. Look, they're dancing. Good news. Can you see it? That's how simple water is. You have to be able to see the people and then ask yourself, what is good news for them? A couple in our community, that school in Africa, girls getting educated, wonderful, on 2 scoops of porridge a day, that's it. What would be good news for them? Food, vegetables, tea. And I think they get meat once a week. Once a week. They get meat once a week. Huge step up. Somebody who walks 30,000 steps a day, experiencing homelessness from where they live or where they're sleeping, where it's safe to get food. What's good news for them? Socks. What else? Shoes. I like shoes. What else? Shelter. Love it. Uber. Where was Uber? Sometimes getting to where they need to go. I went with the dope team recently. Oh, that was a while ago, the other day, whatever. Sometime in my past. The dope team is out of the Alpha House.
They changed their name. It's Help Team. They changed the name.
Okay. Folks, formerly known as the dope team, now the help team. Basically, they drive around, and if somebody who has an addiction is struggling or is homeless is struggling, they help. First person comes up to the cart. I'm kind of this new kid, and they say, can I have a number 4 short or something? And I was like, so I go over to the person, I'm like, I need a number 4 short. What is that? I'm thinking it's a sandwich. You know what it was? It was a clean needle. It was a clean needle so they could inject. What was good news to them? A clean needle so they don't die of whatever they're going to get from sharing needles. Little Mennonite Vince's brain just got blown. But what was good news for that person? A clean number 4 short. It's not that hard. We have to see people. We were running the other day. One of my things, and I think I was taught by somebody here, he said, when you're homeless or when you're experiencing homelessness, you often feel like you don't exist. So every homeless person I meet, and it even looks homeless, potentially homeless, possibly dressed like I am, I go talk to them. Hey, how's it going? Hey, what you up to? How's your day going? The number of times I get this big old smile, and then as I say, okay, we're going to get out of here and go keep running, they're like, hey, thanks for the chat. Good news. Take a look through your life. Look at your kids. What would be good news for them? Look at your partners. What would be good news for them? Your colleagues, your work people, your school friends. I don't know. Can you see them and say, what is good news? Now, let's talk about why we don't do this. First one, there's probably 3 groups of us. You're still stuck in your walls. I don't blame you. I grew up there. It's beautiful inside. Taking them down is not easy work. I had one person say to me, I've been taking down my walls. She called it a box. She's like, my spirituality is in this box, and I keep taking things out that are not working, that are holding me from the world. I just looked in the bottom of my box. There's nothing left anymore. I don't like this. And then she went to fire insurance. What if it was all true and I'm screwed? Deconstructing is not easy. We don't deconstruct for sport. We deconstruct because we can feel that the water is stuck inside of us and we want it for the world. So if you're part of that group that's deconstructing, I've been there. It takes a ton of energy. We have been there too. You're not alone. But after a year in the spiritual gym, those walls will be shorter than they ever have. That we guarantee you. We are ruthless. We will keep coming at you and coming at you to get you to say, wait, do you need that wall? Is that the right wall? How should you have that wall? Every time I don't say the word God, I say your conception of God, I'm kicking at that wall. People are like, screw you, Clausen. Who's the water for? You or to create life? Second group of people. I am constantly amazed at how some people get dealt a hand that is just frickin' brutal. The number of times I've had a person say to me, hey, I'm sick right now. 2 weeks later, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, that's done, but now I have an allergic reaction. Oh, how's that going? Oh, yeah, that's done, but now my bank double withdrew my mortgage payment and I have no money. Then 2 weeks later, it's like, how do you play that hand that the universe gave you? When it's just like you have like 2, 3, 4, 5 not suited, and you're playing poker. There is nothing, like your entire life is focused there. So if you have early trauma in your life, if you have going through a divorce, if you have illness, you know this group because you're going, I'm literally just trying to keep the wheels on the bus here, Vince. I get it. I was training for an ultramarathon, and to train for ultramarathons, you measure everything carefully because you need to know how many hours you're going to run this week. So I have this graph, slowly climbing up as I'm getting my training. My dad calls and says, your mom has terminal cancer. I couldn't run. I couldn't think. All I was paying attention to was cancer. For those of you in that group who are at that place in life where it's just like every frickin' bit of water, you're going, I need it. Here's our guarantee for you. we will do everything we can to inspire you to be the healthiest, most efficient person with that water humanly possible, that we can make you. We will poke you. We will prod you. We will encourage you to grow. We will encourage you to let go of unhealthy thinking. We will encourage you to do some work on this, all so that you, in all the stuff that you have to deal with, takes as little water as you can so that you have a little left over. Jerry, right there. I'm going to put you on the spot, buddy. Sorry. Double lung transplant. If you don't know him, they cut him like this, folded him in half, pulled his lungs out, stuffed a new section in, sewed him up, sewed him back together. We're like, okay, buddy. He's literally breathing with someone else's lungs right now. I went and visited him. He's freaking high as a kite. Hi. Fair point, right? He's in the hospital. He's just been cut in half. You know what he's doing? He's cracking jokes with the nurses to put a smile on their face. How much water did that guy need? Pretty much all of it, plus all of our water, plus his wife's water, plus my water, plus everyone else's water, just to live. And he's going, no, but I got a little bit. That's what a year in the spiritual gym will do. Whatever you're going through, we will do everything we can to help you so that you have a little bit left over for the world. And then the next time you'll have a bit more. And pretty soon, you're a water-taking genius. Third group of people. Don't put up your hand on this one. We're a little focused on the eye. What's in it for me? What about my life? Right? That model, can you throw it up there for me? It's so easy for us to be like, we just drive ourselves down there. This is, if you've ever heard us talk about attachment, if you have avoidant attachment, if you have anxious attachment, you have an early trauma that's trying to drive you down into the eye. After you're in the spiritual gym, first you will know when you're doing it. I have to do this every once in a while. What exactly am I feeling? Am I feeling neglected? Yes. Am I having a pity party? Hell yes. Am I being neglected? Kind of. Have I asked for what I need lately? No. So you're expecting your wife to read your mind and then magically know everything you need and then give it to you without you asking for it? Yes. I like all your heads. No, I've never done that. What do you mean? That's crazy. For those of you like me who have this gravitational pull down that model, we will continually try to inspire you back up again. We will give you opportunities to go, wait, there's more that I can do. I had a friend, two friends actually. One friend, mental illness. We said their mental illness lived in their home. When they weren't healthy, their home was trashed. A bunch of us went in, spent 2 days cleaning it out, getting it ready. One of my buddies, he lives in the eye. 10 years later, he's like, Vince, you do not know what that did to change me. Forget the person we helped. It changed me. I realized I could do something to make the world a better place. We're not doing this just because we have nothing better to do. We're not doing this work of trying to overcome the eye and to try and become more efficient in how we use our own water or deconstruct our spirituality. We're not doing it for that reason. We're doing it to create heaven on earth. What was the line? Oh, something heaven on earth? I'm putting her on the spot. She's like, whoa, I'm in the middle of the message here, dude. Whatever. Heaven on earth. You heard the message? You heard the song, right? Oh, how I love on the place called earth. Oh, how I long for heaven in a place called earth. That's what we're doing. That's water carrying. That's worth doing. At the end of your life, you look back and you say, here's the water I took. I have one last thing for you guys. For those of you who you've done work on deconstructing, you've done work on yourself, you tried to become a healthy human being, you're trying to get up this model, you're not focused on the eye, you're going, okay, what can I do? How do I take water? You see the world and you have capacity and you're like, okay, what is good news for these people? Okay, what is good news for that person? Good, and you're doing it, but you want something more. I'm going to give you the ninja level water carrier. Can you throw back up that Menti for me? I told you my mom got diagnosed with terminal cancer. Messed me up. The day I got that call, I was cancer. It's like I could see, like when you buy a new car and everyone's driving your car suddenly, you're like, I didn't even see that. It was like I looked through the world and I'd be like, hi, my name is Vince. And it was like I could hear them like, oh, my mom's got cancer. Oh, my dad died of cancer. Oh, my cousin just got cancer. Oh, my colleagues got cancer. It was like anything, all I could see in the world was cancer. Outside the walls of that well, I just saw cancer and death. And it killed me. It's like, what do you need? My mom was going through it. She's like, look, I'm terminal. I need some good care. And I was like, whatever, Mom, thanks. Love you. God bless. But how do we solve this so you don't die of cancer? That's what I want to know. And I realized it was money. So I started riding my bike. This thing called Ride to Conquer Cancer. It went up right until COVID. Every year, I'd ride 200 kilometers in a day on my bike. I would have a sore butt to inspire people to donate to cancer. Me and a lot of you and a lot of people in my world, we raised, I think it was $40,000 for cancer research. My water got tied to the thing that broke my heart. When I was riding for cancer, it was like, doesn't even hurt. Look at what my mom's gone through. We'd all wear these pictures on our back of the people who have cancer. We'd look at the pain they're going through. Even at the beginning of the ride, they were like, our pain today is nothing compared to their pain. And I was like, yeah. For those of you who are ready, figure out what breaks your heart. For me, it was cancer. And figure out how to take water to it. I had another friend, last story. 20 years old, 21, rough teen years. Came back to Calgary. Somehow, he scraped together some money, bought his first house in Inglewood, when Inglewood was not Inglewood. He took me for a tour the other day. I was like, oh, okay. Saved up everything he had. He's got like no money. It's like everything's into this. Finds a renter, gets that. Over time, he buys the house next door. Fast forward 20, 30 years, Inglewood is now Inglewood. Those properties are worth a lot of money, and two side by side. So he puts it up for sale. Developer comes, gives him an offer. It's a great offer. Like, puts a deposit down. But then there's something he didn't know. Alberta has a series of laws called the Land Title Act. And in the Land Title Act, there's a loophole. If somebody puts down a deposit but doesn't go through the transaction, everything gets stalled. For the next 7 years, that sale was stalled. The developer was like, I'm going to grind you down until you run out of money and you sell it to me for half. 7 years, He said, I don't even remember. Like, I wasn't part of my kid's life for those 7 years. I lived in my basement and read legal code to try and figure out how to un-F my life. It cost him over $100,000 in legal fees. Twice, he just about killed himself. I can't take this. It just resolved about a year ago. We were running the other day. I said, dude, he's a water carrier. He takes water. Volunteers, a bunch of different things. Just did his first blood drive after hearing about Jeff's. Sent me a picture of the app. First-time donor. I said, if you could do something, if you could volunteer time to change that loophole in the Land Titles Act, what would that mean for you? You should have seen his frickin' face. To make sure that somebody in the future, some future you, isn't sitting in their basement going, either I fight today or I'm going to kill myself. If you could make sure that didn't happen, what would that mean for you? If that's the water that you could take, what would that mean? He was like, dude. When you take the thing that breaks your heart and you figure out how to take water to it, you will have a life's purpose. You will have water that means more than anything. Can you throw out that Menti again? This is the things you told me that break your heart. 102 of you responded. This is the thing that if you put something up on there and you can figure out a way to take water, my buddy, his water was, he's like, I'm going to buy the premier's house and do the same loophole thing to them and screw them over. And people will learn that this needs to get changed. I was like, I like your creative thinking. Let's do that. I was thinking a bag of flaming crap, but whatever, I like, that'll change it. What's your thing here? What's the thing that breaks your heart? Go out and find them and say, what is good news to them? And if that's your water, that'll change everything, folks. Friend Church exists to inspire you and me to a healthy spirituality. It's not about walls. It's not about this. It's not about what about me? What about me? My life is hard. What about me? We open those walls. We figure out how to be healthy humans and we see, oh, I see where there's water. What is good news for them? What is the thing that I'm like, if I could solve that, if I could close the loophole in the Land Titles Act, what would be the thing that I would go, my life was worth it? That's what a year in the spiritual gym is trying to point you to. So that, this is the part we always must remember. Let me say it softer. This is the part I want to encourage you as strongly as I can without telling you absolutely what to do. So that we create life all around us. Life. Where that shit doesn't exist. That is the mission of Friends Church. On behalf of every human you take water to in your life, I want to say thank you. On behalf of everyone who you saw and said, what is good news for them, and then you did something about it, I want to say thank you. On behalf of a world that turns green with life, because of you, all 102 of you that looked here today, I want to say thank you. May we take water to our world and create life everywhere we go. Amen? How about hell yeah? Let's do it. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.